Well, regarding the refracting equipment, there were a lot of factors that played into me wanting to move to new technology. First of all, the phoropter technology is 100 plus years old, and in our offices we want to have the best patient perception that we can. And our patient's perception is we have a high-tech office, but yet we're using equipment that's over 100 years old. Then I had some spine injuries, and I was no longer comfortable with my arms up over my head for long periods of time. So from an ergonomic standpoint, it made perfect sense. And then more importantly, the technology that allows me to have the most accurate prescription, a wavefront optimized auto refraction to start with. I know if I get that wavefront optimized auto refraction sent over to my phoropter equipment, my refraction is going to be less than 2 minutes, and it's going to be the most accurate prescription ever. And finally, being able to toggle between their most recent prescription and what I'm finding today and demonstrate that difference. Because one of the most common questions I get is, has my prescription changed enough to get a new pair of glasses? Now, instead of trying to quantify something they don't understand, I'm able to just show it and demonstrate that difference. It's really improved our optical, and it's really helped our patients because they're enjoying the best vision they can without having to make an arbitrary decision. Well, the staff really adapts well to new technology. My staff has less problems than I do with new equipment, so they really have taken it in stride, and it's a lot easier for them to obtain an auto refraction. They don't have to set the phoropter for me anymore. They just insert the card, so they love it as much as I do. It speeds up the refraction. In terms of patients like the high-tech nature of it. It is a totally different type of refraction process than they've been through previously, and I have to set the table with patients. So this is really a different way of checking their prescription, and most patients really enjoy it and feel like not having to do the 1 and 2, and just the whole process, the workflow is better for patients. Well, the OPD and TRS improved my abilities as a doctor because now I'm able to see patients that have higher order aberrations, other problems in their visual system that I just can't see during a refraction, or even a very comprehensive medical eye examination. There's some of those things that you just can't see. So the OPD technology allows me to see patients that I've never been able to get to 20/20 or have never been happy with their glasses. And although I can't always do anything about it, at least I can show and demonstrate to the patients why they have had subnormal vision. And to them, it's almost the first time anyone's been able to describe why they can't see very well. So it's from that aspect, it's been phenomenal. How does this technology increase my revenue? Well, it increases my revenue because instead of patients, again, having to make a decision about new eyewear based on whether I told them it changed enough or not, I can demonstrate it to them, and everyone wants to see as well as possible. I mean, that's the nature of our job, is to get people to see as well as possible. Even though a small change to some people might not be enough to buy a new pair of glasses, for other patients, a small change means a whole difference between comfort and driving, being able to do their activities of daily living. So from that aspect, it's increased my revenue. It's increased my revenue because I can see more patients more efficiently. And those two things go hand in hand. Well, I have a family-owned business, Gaddie Eye Centers. It was started by my dad over 45 years ago. And when I look at David Marco and his family heritage and everything they've done in our industry, it just made sense. I was just comfortable with everyone involved at Marco. They're a true partner in your business. They're not just selling you a piece of equipment and a warranty and saying good luck. I mean, they're business partners with me, and that was a major decision for me. Marco could have sold me the most expensive solution they have, and it might not have been right for me, but instead, they wanted to put in the solution that worked best for me and my practice.
We decided to choose the Marco Epic system for 3 reasons. One, we got to the point where we had 2 lanes and we really needed to buy a third, and so we had to justify, is it worth getting a third lane, or is there a more efficient way for us to do this? And after we evaluated different systems, we looked at the Epic and said, that is exactly what our office needs. And in terms of efficiency, it's increased our efficiency many, many times over, and we didn't have to spend the money for a third lane. Number 2 is we really had to figure out why there are certain patients that if you don't have aberrometry and you don't have topography, you simply can't find out what's going on with them. And from a clinical diagnostic standpoint, I knew that I needed this technology to help me make different diagnoses, whether it be for refractive surgery, contact lens fits, or just general medicine, where we'd see patients and they couldn't see well and there was a reason why, and it wasn't hidden in the refraction itself. 3 is we also had to think, how can we be more efficient once again, but from the standpoint of delegating some of the things that we do. And I'm a big believer in delegation. I use my staff a great deal, and the Epic was a really good fit for us. Well, what we found out is when we put Epic into our practice, it wasn't just an efficiency thing like we thought. I mean, that was amazing. We cut about 4.5 to 5 minutes off of our average vision exam, which was huge from an efficiency standpoint. It means you can see a lot more patients a day or spend more time with each patient to generate more money. In our case, we did a little bit of both, and what we found out is once we put the Epic system in, and I published this in a couple different places, our revenue in our optical went up anywhere between, depending on the month, anywhere between 12 and 24%. And I attribute that largely to the fact that we got time to sit and talk to our patients about what vision solutions they should have. That extra time was huge. The other piece of that is what I affectionately call, and I know Mark doesn't always love me saying this, but we call it the money button, is that we show people, this is your current prescription. This is your new prescription we found today. Which do you prefer? That completely eliminates that do I need to change my glasses discussion, because they just made that decision for themselves. And that helps translate into many, many more sales, and not just from a sales perspective, but if they notice a difference, why should I, as the doctor, not prescribe a visual solution that's going to make their life better? So the Epic system for us wasn't just about efficiency, it was also about providing better care and better visual solutions. Well, one of the interesting things is because the Epic is able to combine not just automated refraction and pupillometry and daytime and nighttime prescription, aberrometry, topography, it combines so many things, there's so many pieces of information that you can get. And what we found is there's many people who have conditions like, let's say they have a very mild PSC cataract or a very mild cortical change that you simply can't see with a slit lamp. Our eyes are not that sensitive to notice those differences. Or maybe you have some tear film issues or some corneal aberrations that we're not sensitive enough, and a phoropter that does things in quarters or even eighths isn't sensitive enough to pick up. And so for many patients, when they come in and say, you know, they're like, nobody's ever got me to see 20/20. I may not be able to get them to see 20/20 either, but I can give them a reason why. Combining a refraction system with an OPD, which is what basically the Epic is, you're able to get that information, show people what is the really best that you can see, number one, and if you can't see perfect, why is that? Many people don't need to see perfect, they want an answer of why they couldn't. So one of the most impressive things about the Epic, not only was it clinical care, but really was what is our ROI investment? And a lot of people look at TRS systems or the Epic system, they go, that's too much. And I always look and say, it's too much, it's never too much if you're losing money by doing what you're doing. You know, whether it be the fact that it increases your efficiency, and if I can see you have 5 more minutes, and whether it be to see 5 more minutes in my office means I get another, you know, basically 40 to 50 minutes a day, which is another 2 to 3 patients, which is an increase in revenue. Or maybe I take that time and we take that time, we increase our revenue because we talk about what the options are for patients and they buy more. Maybe it's the money button itself. I really think when it comes to looking at what's the ROI and can I afford to get this, I always ask, can you afford not to get this? Because if you look at your ROI, at least when we looked at it in our practice, is we found out that what it was costing us to do business the way we were. We paid for the Epic system in about 4 months in our practice outright because we increased our revenue. And so you got to look at, don't get stuck with sticker price, look at what are you losing by not doing this. So, you know, we look at that and say, we can't do without the Epic from a profitability standpoint, from an efficiency standpoint, from a patient expectation standpoint. So one of the most interesting things, and I am a very, very high-tech office. I believe in being very, very efficient, and I believe in having the best technology. My patients walk in with the newest cell phones, the newest cars, the newest everything. They want new technology. Our consumers want new technology. The Epic system, when we implemented this, my staff was like, it's about time. The implementation for them was nothing. They loved it. It was, in fact, we had a couple days last week where we were doing some training on it, and they actually said this to me. They said, if the Epic ever goes down, you have 1 day to get it fixed and we quit. Because they love it that much. But even more impressive than what my staff felt about this was, what did patients say about this? And we have sections and sections and sections of things on DemandForce and Google and all those other places say, we love your technology. This was one of the most efficient exams I've ever had, and at the same time, one of the most complete exams we've ever had. So people appreciate you being efficient with their time, and they're willing to pay for more technology if you're efficient with their time and you explain, this helps us get more information than we ever could with a standard phoropter. We can't do without it. So I often get the question when I'm speaking on the podium or when I'm writing, they say, why did you choose Marco over all the other technologies? And it's interesting because I have the opportunity as a technology consultant, I own my own technology company, as a speaker, I get the opportunity to look at everything in depth. And I got to look at everything. I had to say, what's going to make me most efficient? What's going to fit best in my office? What's my staff going to be most happy with? Can I pay for this? Is it going to improve my patient care? And when I compared all those factors for my own practice, there was really only one choice. I love the Marco system and it fit for us. And 4 years later, it still fits for us.